All right, let's now answer this question here. Let's begin by giving it a read. It says, areas of farmland in the region are allocated to growing barley, corn, and wheat. This allocation of farmland is to be changed each year, beginning in 2019. The table below shows the areas of farmland in hectares allocated to each crop. Now here comes the important information. We're told that 2018 n is equal to 0, so 2018 n is equal to 0, and 2019 n is equal to 1. 2019 n is equal to 1. So as you can see here, in 2018, 2,000 hectares were allocated to barley, and that changed in 2019, where 2,100 were allocated to barley. Remember, as you're going through these questions, it's important to sometimes talk to yourself like you're explaining the question to yourself. So as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm going this much hectares for corn, next year that much hectares for corn. Then we keep on going. The planned annual change to the area allocated to each crop can be modeled by this right here. Now, we're given a few things here. We're given R. Now, R is this. Now, looking at this, you should see that this is a transition matrix. Don't be thrown by the fact that they've denoted it with an R. It's still a transition matrix. And again, think about what this is saying. It's saying that 70% of the area given for barley remains as barley next year. 10% of the hectares given for corn this year will be given to barley. Another number, this is saying that 20% of the hectares given for wheat this year will be given to corn next year. So that's how the transition matrix is working. We are also told that H of n represents the state matrix that shows the area allocated to each crop n years after 2018. Now here we're told Q is a matrix that contains additional fixed changes to the area that is allocated to each crop each year. So Q. Now we're not given Q, are we? Now, this is where it's important to take a step back for a moment. Do you see how this is a 2-mark question? Now, hopefully just by reading the question, you can kind of figure out that Q is an important thing, and you're actually going to be given 1 working out mark if you get this wrong. So if you get the answer wrong, but you write down what Q is, you'll actually get 1 mark out of 2 for this. We'll talk more about that later. It says complete H of 2, so H of 2 here, the state matrix for 2020. Okay. So what we're after in this question is H of 2. So we're after 2020. So that's when n is equal to 2. We're after these numbers here. We're after those numbers there. Now, what do we know? We know what H of 0 is. We know what H of 1 is. We're trying to figure out what H of 2 is. So the first thing I would do here is say, I can think about this for a moment and figure out what Q is. I understand that Q is really what I'm after here. To figure out what H of 2 is, I need to figure out what Q is. Now, to figure out what Q is, I've been given 2 consecutive years, 2018 to 2019. So I can solve for what Q is. I can say that H of 1 is going to be equal to R times by H of 0 plus Q. Now, I know that H of 1, I'm going to zoom out here for a second. I know that H of 1 is going to be this. I know it's a 3 by 1 matrix, so that's what they're giving us here. It's going to be 2, 1, 0, 0, 1, 9, 0, 0, and 2, 0, 0, 0. Then I'm going to, well, now I can figure out what this is here, can't I? I can figure out what is R times H of 0, because I've been given both of those things. R is this, and H of 0 is these numbers here. So let's come to my CAS and let's put in this transition matrix. We're going to come here, go there, get a 3 by 3 matrix. Then I'm going to type in all of these numbers. So I'm going to go, oh, it's just broken for me for a second. Let's keep on going. We're going to go 0.7. We're going to go 0.1. We're going to go 0.1. We're going to go 0.1. We're going to go 0.8. We're going to go 0.2. We're going to go 0.2, 0.1, 0.7. Perfect. I'm just going to scan over that, make sure I haven't made any silly mistakes. And then I'm just going to store that away. Control that. Let's store that away as R. Hit enter. That's now stored away as R. What I now want to do is I want to go, all right, I've got H of 0 times R. So let's take R. Remember, the order here is important. And I'll times it by H of 0. H of 0 is just going to be all of these numbers here. So it's going to be come here, go there, 3 by 1. It's going to be 2,000. It's going to be 1,000. it's going to be 3,000. I'm going to get that right there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write those in. Now, probably in the exam, you wouldn't have to write all this in here. You could be doing most of this on your CAS to do it in the most time-effective way possible. So 1800, 1600, and 2600. Now that's plussing by Q. Now, what you have to realize here is that these numbers are a little off, aren't they? Because 1800 is not the same as 2100. But remember, you're plussing or minusing some constant value here, some fixed cost. So if I'm got 1800 and I need to get to 2100, what does that mean? Well, that means that I need to plus 300 more onto this. I need to plus 300 more onto that. Then I would go to my next one here. I've got 1600 and I need to get to 1900. Well, again, I would have to plus 300 onto this. And then for my next one, I have 2600 down to 2000. For that one, I would have to subtract 600. And this right here is helping us figure out what Q is going to be. Now, this is, if you mess up your final answer, but wrote Q incorrectly, so you wrote Q as a part of your working out, you would actually be given a mark. So that's important to know. And we'll see that later when we read our examiner's report. 300 minus 600. So let me just repeat. VCAR will say in the examiner's report that if you write that down, but you get the final answer wrong, you'll get 1 out of the 2 marks here, which is important for us to know. All right, now that we know Q, we can now finally go in for what we want, and that is H of 2, okay? Because we know that H of 2 is going to be equal to R times H of 1 plus Q. And now appreciate the fact that we have all the information we need. We know what R is. We know what H of 1 is. H of 1, if we come back up here, is simply, there's 1, all of these values there. And then we know what Q is. Q is there. So now I'd come to my CAS. I've stored my transition matrix as R. I'm going to times that by H of 1. So I'm going to come up here. H of 1 is here. So we're going to go this, 3 by 1, like that, 2100, 1900, and 2000. And then I'm going to plus onto that my Q matrix. Now, what was my Q matrix? My Q matrix was that 3 by 1. It's going to be 300, negative 600. Hit enter. We're going to get that. So that means my answer here, drum roll, is going to be, let's zoom in. Oh, that's a highlighter. I can't write in a highlighter. 2160, 2430, and 1410. All right, let's now look at our examiner's report. So we're going to come over here. You can see our answers: 2160, 2430, 1410. Okay, it says a mark was available for finding matrix Q. This one right here, 300, 300, negative 600. So that means that if you got your final answer, if you got that wrong, but you wrote in Q here, you would have gotten, because this was out of 2 marks, 1 out of those 2 marks there. So when you're doing these questions, it is helpful to put in some working out here, but of course you don't want to go over the top with the working out. If you can do most of it on your CAS, that's great. But then you've also got to think, there's 2 marks here. If I mess it up, I better put something down that, at least I can recuperate one of those marks. But also remember that if you wrote down the correct answer and nothing else, you'll get 2 out of the 2 marks. That's important to recognize, that if you write down the correct answer and nothing else, you'll still get the 2 out of the 2 marks. Hopefully that has made sense. That took a long time for me to explain. Obviously, in the exam, you'd have to do this quicker than 9 minutes and 17 seconds. You'd have to do it quicker than that, wouldn't you?